Morning. Can you hear me? Thank you for being here at the regular meeting of the LaSalle County Commissioners Court. It's November 9th, 2020, 10 o'clock a.m. We're at the district courtroom here at LaSalle County, 101 Courthouse Square, Cotulla, Texas, 78014. We have a full quorum. If we could rise to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one, indivisible. I have one public participation form. Mario Obledo Jr. from the San Antonio Food Bank. I do not have an agenda item for you, but in public comment, you can address us. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Mario Blado Jr., and I'm Chief of Government and Public Affairs at your San Antonio Food Bank. And on behalf of Eric Cooper, our President and CEO, our board, our organization, just thank you for all the support and leadership that you give to this county and the citizens that reside in it. I was in the neighborhood stopping by just to say a few words. The pandemic crisis has put an increase and demand for our programs and services throughout 16 counties in Southwest Texas. As you all probably remember, we are one of 200 food banks across the country feeding America and one of 21 in the state of Texas, part of Feeding Texas. Your support and help is greatly appreciated as it goes a long way for the families that are struggling now more than ever. Truly helps us fight hunger and feed hope in LaSalle. And your dedication to nourishing citizens over the years should be celebrated, acknowledged. And so really, I'm stopping by to say thank you. It can be a lot of hard work to get distributions coordinated and scheduled. And I want to personally thank Ariana, who works for the county, who's out there, and others as well, commissioners, folks that come out and help. And want you all to know that we are there for you when it comes to providing other resources. I did hand out a brochure. There is a card along with that on our client services, community outreach program, so government benefit application assistance, right? So anything from WIC to TANF to Medicaid, long-term care for senior, CHIP for kids, and SNAP, a great safety net program, formerly known as food stamps. Our staff can get folks screened and applied for those programs and at the same time get nourishment and nutrition education out to them as well. So really, Judge, stopping by to say thank you, and thank you, commissioners, for the hard work that you all do. I know the budget and everything that you all go through to lead in your positions is much appreciated. So
I would at a future date,
yes,
date that we all can consent to,
yes,
have a meeting to discuss several issues.
yes.
One is community unity. Also, making sure that we're able to knock out the kinks in delivery to the rural colonial areas.
Fowlerton, Gardendale.
And surrounding areas, there's the Woodward and areas that need to be served.
Yes.
To make sure there's fair distribution, because that's always a concern. The young and the elderly, and some people take for others. So you hear a lot of complaints that we need to address.
Yes, sir.
But I'm also interested in the contributions and participation of other surrounding areas. So I am very interested in
Yes.
in it because we're concerned, one, with the quality of food. And I know some of it is beyond your control because it's donated food. But we also don't want to get in a situation where we purchase food that cannot be eaten or consumed based on its condition, uh, based on its expected life, especially being produce. And, like to cover those areas because
Yes, sir.
we fund, for example, to do the pantry in the Methodist Church. But if it's not being done, then maybe it's best that we just redirect that money to serve more people at large.
Okay.
And so I think it'd be good because
Yes, sir.
I think the whole community should be working because we started planning this as a master plan when we first built the park and centralized it for the community for safety purposes, for law enforcement purposes. And we want to make sure that it's quick, efficient, and fair with everybody.
Yes, sir. Well noted. Our
So-
President and CEO, Mr. Cooper, looks forward to continued discussions and follow-up communications. So we will work towards doing that, Judge.
Well, thank you very much. And if we could later get I know November is busy, but early December, we're a calendar year in, so our budget probably will be approved in December. So we'd like to get that addressed in December.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much.
I think you're all on board on covering those issues because I hear it back from
Yeah.
them.
Hey, Judge,
Yeah.
a while back that the people from Wellington, they couldn't come pick up the commodities. So the lady that was here, she didn't want to give anything to them because she wanted to give everybody that was here first.
And that's where I mentioned that we look at the distribution, fair distribution to those colonial areas, which would be Fowlerton, because, when the San Antonio Food Bank comes and they're watching the distribution. Once it leaves in a vehicle, they have no idea where it's going to be fair distribution. So there has to be some type of negotiation agreement, maybe that they become comfortable with that person on who they're serving a little bit more work, but we got to bring that to the table. That'd be the same thing for a couple families in Artesia and Fowlerton, so I think we can get there.
Yes, and scheduling distribution, we
Yes.
could schedule a distribution to those areas as long as we're coordinating and communicating. So yes, we can look into that.
Yeah, there was a lady there that came with a food bank and she didn't want the county guys to take the food over there. First, everybody from Cotula, and then whoever wanted from Wellington, they need to come all the way from over there. And they usually take it to them, but she didn't want that. She wanted everybody from here first, and they have some left over, they would take it over there. But we usually give them to Wellington all the time because they're in the South County too.
During this crisis, we're receiving food from USDA, the state, TDA and TDM. And so there's a lot more requirements going on during this crisis that we're under and we're having to adhere to. So some of those things are rules and regulations that we're trying to follow because the federal government and state government is requiring those. But we look forward to discussing on how we can serve those areas and serve them better. And so we want to be able to be available for those discussions, Judge. So we will schedule those.
So, yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Judge.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
I know Dr. Rolf is here, so we will go to the emergency order first. Number 14, discussion possible action on extending disaster declaration related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Rolf, I know you're here and you've been working with our fire department and law enforcement and first responders to keep track of COVID and quarantine. You've been working with the school and making sure that we continue to be protected as much as we can. And I don't know if you have any recommendations on what you see is going on right now, especially with the holidays coming in.
Yes, thank you. Let me just set up my Joe Biden teleprompter here. So what we've mostly been working on this last month or so has been the pending vaccine. The school is pretty much on autopilot, and I really haven't been contacted by them much. Recently, I did check in this morning with the head nurse, and she said everything's fine. So they're going along pretty much on autopilot. However, we did change our focus, like I said, to the pending vaccine, which likely will be out in some form, hopefully by the end of the year, and then definitely in 2021. There are 6 companies that are in the lead right now for releasing their vaccine. 2 of them look very promising. Our task force at the fire station and I sat through a day-long conference 2 weeks ago on the initial distribution and presentation of the vaccine. So it looks like that's coming. It's very well organized. As far as we're concerned, we have everything that we need. I did apply as a provider for the vaccine, and we could do that through the fire station when it becomes available. There is a tier of who the CDC is going to release the vaccine to. Obviously, those that are highest risk will get it first, and then it'll trickle down based on perceived risk. Healthcare personnel will be first. School personnel, luckily, are on that list. First responders, obviously. Anybody who comes in potentially daily contact with COVID-19 patients. Nursing homes, the jail, although I assume everybody knows, but maybe not, our jail was tested recently and came up with a 0% COVID positive rate. So I thought that was great. So the vaccine application is extremely long and very detailed. The only thing we may not be able to do, depending on the vaccine that's released, is store it at a sub-zero temperature. We don't have a sub-zero freezer. If it comes to that, then obviously I'll approach the court to possibly purchase it. We will look into the cost meanwhile, assuming that is a possibility. But we have everything else we need. There will be extensive record keeping necessary. No matter which vaccine comes out, they are all 2-dose vaccines, which means you have to get the dose, and then a month later, approximately, you get the second dose. It has to be the exact same vaccine. You can't have one company's vaccine the first time and another company's vaccine the second time. Hopefully, we won't have 6 or 7 vaccines out there, or 5 or 6 vaccines out there, confusing everybody. It'll just be one, ideally, maybe 2. But you can't get the company A's vaccine here and then go to Laredo and get company's B vaccine, because that doesn't work like that. That won't work. That will present some challenges for us with record keeping, because patients will do that. As much as we tell them not to, they will do that. So we really have to stay close on them. But our record keeping has been very good with what we've had to do with contact tracing. Danny and Cindy and Gilbert have been doing an excellent job every day keeping up with that list. And contacting everybody and getting their contacts in isolation or in quarantine, depending on their status. Let me see what else I have. I think that was it. I do have some, so my focus for the next month or so will be a flu immunization, flu immunizations. Somebody's calling, sorry. Mostly to try and educate the community on the safety of the flu immunization. I know a lot of people have concerns about it. It is extremely safe. I've been an emergency medicine physician for 25 years. I have never, ever seen any kind of vaccination, a negative result from a vaccination, except for maybe some mild swelling and redness and mild infection at the injection site. But nothing that I've even heard about in any of my hospitals that I've dealt with in 25 years. I have seen people die of COVID, many people. I have seen people die of the flu, many people, but not ever a vaccine interaction. So we have to kind of weigh the risk versus the benefits. especially with something as deadly as COVID. Because if you get COVID and you get the flu, which is certainly possible, the risks are not just additive, they're much higher than that. You have a much higher risk of a bad outcome. So I think I usually don't push flu vaccines as heavy as I am this year, but this year I think it's extremely important, especially for those at high risk. So besides that, I think the other focus is the holiday gatherings that are bound to come up. And of course, they're going to come up. They're going to come up at my house. They're going to come up at everybody in this room's house. However, we just have to be smart about it. You know, it's useless for anybody to suggest that those gatherings aren't going to happen. But we just have to be very smart about it. We have to do whatever we can to mitigate the risk of transmission. Maybe lessen the number of people there, or whatever each individual family wants to do. Just be cognizant and just be aware that that's probably right now the highest risk place to be, is at a family gathering. So as far as any letting up on any of the recommendations so far, I recommend against that, at least till we get through the year. Let's see what happens, and there will be a spike after Thanksgiving. There will be a spike after Christmas. That's obvious. So we just need to do whatever we can to minimize that. And then the last thing, Judge, I'll just talk to you privately about this, is the cost of the testing, and I have some ideas about decreasing that for the county.
Okay. One of the things that we have concerns with, and I think I've mentioned with Danny, and I hear it from the community as well, is people that have become positive are not staying home and staying quarantined. And we have several law enforcement agencies, and previously had asked DPS to help, and they did for a while, because originally the order, ours is basically parallels the governor's order, number 2829, as much as we can. But when I spoke to the DPS, which was the Captain Benecourt, said they can come help us, but they're really not going to enforce the order. And with a transitional period, elections, the participation of law enforcement is not there.
Yeah.
So we're in a budget process, and in December when we cover it, I mean, our constables can help enforce the orders as well. Not only law enforcement, should just be a sheriff. City of Ensenada should help as well, because we have an order, there's a curfew for children, but they're out at parties. And I know we had an ambulance call at a party outside of town where the kid had to be taken to San Antonio in critical condition. And there was numerous children there. And we've paid a lot of money for testing. And it's not like, okay, I got tested, I'm okay to go do whatever I want. It's very expensive. It's not free, and it affects the operations, and the amount of testing that we've paid for, eventually can affect other people's jobs here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not cheap. And even the immunizations that we do, the flu and stuff, there's not a grant that's given it to us. Some is by the National Guard and some is not. And yes, we're going to build some to the CARES Act, but the CARES Act, the amount of money is just minimal of what we have to spend to protect the community. I think Utah's governor just went online today saying everybody wear their masks. Wear their masks. And the mask order is still in play. And people are saying, well, they're not doing it in Uvalde, they're not doing it in Jordanton. And we've managed to keep the case level down. And they're saying that masks work and masks help, but it takes the participation of everybody. And we shouldn't have to force it down anybody's, force it down to anybody. We shouldn't have to we shouldn't have to force it down anybody's throat. But people have to participate. I mean, and you do. You're going to have holidays, and people like to hug and hold. But the bars have been open, and I'm getting reports that they're not wearing masks. You know, there's events, they're not wearing masks. And it should be to the point that we have to go give tickets to everybody. It should be everybody participating equally. But our case level has gone up, and I think the numbers in Ensenada were 13 last week, and we were up to about 15 here. And so you have a number of people that may not have symptoms out there, but they are infected. So, you know, we have an order, but it doesn't mean anything if people don't follow it, and if the law enforcement's not gonna help us, and it should be all law enforcement should help us, then what's the use of giving them pay raises and everything else if they're not gonna work? If they're not gonna be participating? And like I said, I was hoping the sheriff would be here. He's still the elected sheriff, and he's still accepting the paycheck, and the staff is still accepting the paycheck till the end of the year. So we expect work till the end of the year. And if he can't, what I'm gonna ask is that we petition the governor to send us DPS to enforce the order.
And the sheriff?
We can't do anything. He's budgeted for the year, till the end of the year. But if he can't get on board with us, if he can't participate to enforce this, then I'm saying, let's contact the governor's office and say, this is it. I mean, there's no games about it because, I mean, people are continuing to get sick. And nobody wants to be the bad guy. They don't want to be the bad guy, but that's the only way we're going to take care of it.
Who do we have to talk to?
Huh?
Who do we have to talk to so that DPS can help us?
I'll send a letter to the governor if that's the case. We can do it part of the resolution that we contact the
State,
governor to assign us DPS troopers to enforce the ordinances. And they will. But we've come to the point to where we've reached out several times, and yeah, I'll go talk to them, but nothing happens. And I've been to some restaurants where the workers aren't wearing a mask, and it can't just be Butterfield. Butterfield's doing it, but it's just not right, just that one person in the county is enforcing.
Right.
And it's the same thing with Ensenada PD. They don't want to be that bad guy because they don't want the people to get after them. So I said, you know what? You know, this saves people's lives. And if I'd say give it some time, and if people participate, you know, we won't have to request it.
so we need to talk to the constables too.
Yeah, I'd say bring them in. Bring them in. We brought all their salaries up to full-time. And our revenue is less, way less than it was when we had one JP and one worker, you know, collecting. And yes, some people are not working, but, you know, it's not a guarantee. We got to make those business decisions that are sound and fair, and we need to protect the people.
Like the deputies, Judge, can they work on a county vehicle? Like if there's a pipeline crossing, can you have two county police, one on each side? Or the pipeline's supposed to get their own guys?
If they're crossing a highway during that period of crossing, to protect the public, they can.
County road.
But they can.
And-
But
and
if
also-
they're being paid by the company, it becomes illegal.
Yes.
Yeah, because the other day I was coming from Woodward and there's two deputies, one on each side, and they weren't crossing anything or anything, but there's pipeline right there before you get to Woodward. And they were there, I don't know how long they were there, but I passed through in the morning.
I mean, they're crossing the state right away, which is fine, but if they're being paid by the company, you know, it's illegal.
Usually I see them, you know, constable, but they're on the personal vehicles. They usually use the personal vehicle, and this one here, they had county vehicles.
But in getting back to the order, is that we have the same order, the bars are open, and, you know, there's after-bar parties, there's people drinking, not wearing masks. So, you know, there's either going to be, enforcement, or we have to make a decision to shut it down. It's different on the bars because we had to certify a form to the state. I had to certify to ABC. And do we withdraw the certification if they're not going to follow it? So we agree because the governor authorized to open the bars, but they're not all the counties are opening the bars. It's only after you certify. And what's happening, you may be able to open them 1 week and then it goes down the next week, so it goes up and down, the levels clear out. So just as Chief Mendez said, hey, we're going to clear out, we're going to go back to zero, then the incidental testing popped it back up. So you don't know. But we do get calls that people are out even after they've tested. I know they got to go groceries. We've been reaching out, and you've been trying to take groceries and things to people that are positive. But I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, it's a hard decision because people want their freedom, but the masks have to be done. The order that is there for children after 10, that it's a curfew, but they're still out.
And I've seen a lot of kids play basketball. They're not wearing a mask. I mean, is that okay? I mean, during the day.
I mean, if it's the same household, it's okay. If it's not the same household, no, it's not. But until law enforcement officers have to give them a ticket, they can tell them, okay, y'all either get masks, or go home. We've gone far enough, but I fear that it's got out of control. I mean, because there's no enforcement. So they have to enforce the mask order.
Judge, if I may, 90% of the community has been doing a superb job, masks, so forth. With the contact tracing over the past few weeks, we have been able to figure out where the exposures have come from, and they have come from gathering/parties. The 10%, as I call it, that don't want to comply, they're either just resistant, they don't want to, or they don't believe in masks, and I call them conspiracy theorists. Unfortunately, the way it goes, and we've seen this multiple times this year, we have that 10% that refuses, they spread, we start having more active cases, which puts our loved ones at risk, especially those with underlying conditions. Then it starts taxing the system. So the local fire department, EMS, we're busier. And then for those calls, other medical calls, we're not there because we're taking COVID patients. So there is an effect. And then the community will start asking, as our cases rise, for more testing. So we schedule more testing, which now comes back on more funds coming from the county to provide testing. So if we can get the community started at the basic level, the 90% that comply and follow, and it's doing a great job to, hey, put on a mask, so forth, at the restaurants, at the grocery store, so forth. That's a start. And then, of course, like the judge said, Mr. Butterfield, he's doing what he can, but LaSalle County is a big area to cover with one person. We have had assistance in a good relationship with Ensenada Police and Constable Maldonado and his deputy constable. They have helped, but there's still a rise in cases. We're still seeing this. And my concern is the holidays. And like Dr. Roth said, families are going to get together. So I am looking at pre-scheduling testing about a week after Thanksgiving, and then again right after the New Year's holiday.
Well, I think local people here are doing real good because I went to a funeral Friday and just about everybody was wearing a mask, and there was a lot of people there, but everybody wearing a mask. And they had a plate sale out here Sunday, and everybody working there had a mask too. So I mean, everybody's doing good though. I mean, following orders though.
And I will say some of the cases we've done the investigation so forth, we were able to identify the source patient that brought it back to, let's say, a household. And these people went to San Antonio or Laredo, and we went to the mall and we did this and we did that. I'm one of those myself. It's been 8 months, 9 months. I'm tired of being home, but it's for the good of everybody. That's what we're seeing. And if people will just continue, the vaccine's coming. It might be a few more months, but we'll get there. And we're doing a good job altogether.
And I'd like to make the correction. It's the law enforcement and constables, they may be out there enforcing other laws, but we need to get them to direct some into the disaster compliance. And, you do have people wearing masks, and it's higher level than I've seen in other places, but we also need to remember that there's no hospitals here and doctors don't live here. So it makes it a lot harder, and it gives an impact on the county. The reason it gives an impact because you start making calls, then you start having overtime. The ambulance gets used more, and those calls keep going up. And it hits us pretty hard.
Also, for every case investigation, so when we get notified of a positive case, there's only 3 of us that do the investigations out of my office. It takes, just for the positive case, 2 to 3 hours to do one investigation. Now, if there's other family members in the house or so forth, as you start the contact tracing, the time gets longer and longer and longer. And it could be 12 hours with people with extended families and so forth. And then if you say, well, we had a gathering at our house, then it's going exponentially, the amount of time put into this one case. With 3 of us doing that takes 3 of us also out of the loop to perform other duties, assisting on EMS calls, fire calls, so forth. So there's a lot that goes into this, which I just don't see worth it. If you're going to go to a party, these are all the repercussions that's coming back on everybody else. And that 10%, I mean, if they would just comply for a few more months, I think there's light at the end of the tunnel.
And if you're going to have a gathering at home during Thanksgiving, then try to follow the same protocols at a restaurant where you kind of stay away, try not to hug. And I know, you're going to have to do the trade-off. Do we hug? Do we not hug? Do we kiss? Do we not kiss? You're going to have to follow the spacing that we can. You can't always do it, but try the best that you can. And it's specifically hard on kids because kids are very loving and they want to, hug and touch people. But it's not an easy time for many, many people. For everybody's not an easy time. But that's the thing, is that we need help in the enforcement, especially when they have the parties. And you're right. Most of the people that have been sick, that have been caught, have been clusters in a family gathering or a party setting, private party setting. And like I said, it's unfortunate that we have to continue to do this. I know it's hard and, we're worried about the cost, but it does impact us.
Right now, the city of El Paso is one of the hardest hit places in the nation with COVID cases. Talking with our partners with the state last week, they said we'd be fools if we didn't think that surge is not going to spread from El Paso. So this is that point where everyone in the community has to make that decision to let's continue to follow the orders, do what we can, do our part so it does not affect us. I think if we follow everything, we'll be fine. But everybody, this is 100% participation from every citizen in the county.
We've been delivering meals to our elderly program is partly funded by USDA and Texas Department of Health. Those are the two agencies, which we get probably about 70,000 a year. The rest of the money is all local. And usually to qualify for any meal, then you have to meet the Medicaid standards of income. And we waive that for everybody, that if you're a taxpayer here, you can get served. But for home delivered, we have to follow the guidelines. So the concern is, do we open the centers now already? Ensenada is big enough to where they can segregate. The Tula's a little bit smaller, but it's still big. And allow some people to come eat and they social distance just like a restaurant and open it up to them. And then if we do have to shut it back down, then we'll home deliver again.
Couple of people that you got to pick up in that van, and they're going to be pretty close to each other in that van.
Well, we can open it, and for those people that we pick up, they're gonna have to make their own way, otherwise we still home deliver to them. Because they're still gonna home deliver some. They're still gonna home deliver some.
So if you do it that way, they're not gonna use the van to pick up nobody.
Or we can continue home delivery throughout the rest of the year. The Ensenada Center is really big that it can go either way.
Okay, and the one from Ensenada, they're gonna drive over there, or they're gonna have to pick them up in the van?
It's the same thing, they'd have to make their way over there.
I would wait till.
And there's no way you can do a curbside, no, because they're not gonna.
So you just wanna wait till just past these holidays and leave it?
Let's see what
delivery?
happens after Thanksgiving and everything. Let's just wait another,
Yeah,
see what happens.
they can survive.
What do you see on that, Doc? What do you recommend on that, Doc?
Which specific part I was having trouble hearing with the mess? Which part you want to wait till after Thanksgiving?
So opening the center and just continuing the home delivery meals for everybody.
Yeah, that's a high-risk population, that they need to not be going anywhere if possible.
Yeah, because they're older, and one of them gets sick, and it's gonna be
Yep.
it'll be hard though. So I think we ought to just wait.
That's something we can control. I think, there are certain things we can control and certain things we can't. I think we need to concentrate on the things that we can control and what gives us the most benefit for our involvement. And that's definitely one of them.
Sheriff, we just spoke about working on enforcing the order. And I know that this is a transitional period, and I know you have your workers do other things, but we need help with enforcement of the orders. And there's some businesses that aren't complying. We have kids that are out, we have a curfew. We have parties that are happening and no citations are issued, nothing is done. And I'd like to meet with the constables, Ensenada, and all the law enforcement in the county to see, are we gonna follow the order or not gonna follow the order? Because if we don't, then I'm gonna ask the governor to send DPS. And I think the commissioners are at the same point. We need to hear from them too. But there hasn't been much cooperation from your office in the order. In any of these orders, it's just not happening.
Well, we had just every working, like last time they arrested two juveniles, because I remember the last time we told.
Yes.
Battlefield, because remember, just I asked you, when we had issued one of the places here, that we can go issue citation. You told me, no, you have to leave it alone. I think the doctor was there when we had the conversation, and it's not that, like I told you, if you tell me to wait for, we're gonna enforce it. I mean, that's.
I think in reference to one of the bars, this is one of the things. In the bars that you're mentioning is that there were some disagreements on whether they're a bar or a restaurant because they're segregated. And what's been happening across the state is if they convert it to a restaurant, they can stay open. And that business, he had personal history, and it'd be better to get other law enforcement rather than get it dirtier than it was. So that recommendation was, hey, leave it alone. It should be somebody else to do it. But we're to the point that there's a number of things happening that people want their freedom, and yes, it's good, but they gotta respect that there's masks and there's curfews for the kids, and they're tired, but it has to be enforced.
No, we don't mind enforcing it. Like I told you, last night they arrested 2 juveniles for things that were still in air conditioners and they were supposed to take into to Georgia, and they were waiting for the juvenile probation officer to see if they get a place. And if they had a place to take them to Georgia, they were gonna take them to Georgia. But I mean, we don't mind, Judge, that we can do it. Like I said, I told that we were supposed to get notification from Mr. Butterfield to help them. Nobody called us that I know. Nobody has called me, for this. Mr. Mensa say, hey, we got this issue, because I was talking to, Mr. Velez the other day when they called, when somebody was burning, tires, and they went and he issued a citation, I think, to the people. I mean, they call it, Judge, you know me, all of you know me. I'm not afraid to do the job, but if I don't know, I can fix it.
But the thing is, you do know, because the order's been filed and done by the Commissioner's Court, and it says right there, mass juvenile. You don't have to wait for the fire department to do it. It's like the screening, we're still called on the screening as far as the county, but they can screen themselves too. So every time those calls, those resources are done, that cooperation, is apart from the order. The thing is, right now, the mask, the juveniles, as far as curfew hours and parties. They're selective parties, but they're not always. That's the participation that we need. If we could work on those just 3 things, and you don't, some of these people, if I catch you again, fine. You've always been good at that. But it just can't, keep going south.
See, Jella, they had a party like, I guess, a week ago in Sun Ranch. And right now he's investigating. There were some high school kids, and we even got the ranger about to go investigate. So we do investigation. We doing that, but I can't discuss everything we do, but they're being investigated because there's something that happened serious to a young man there, and we all investigated, and then we got the ranger. He was here almost all last week. And again, there was a party that we didn't know it was on a private part, but we still, something happened, and we're doing an investigation.
But even at party at private, it's considered gathering of more than 10.
Right.
So that would give that officer that ability to stay and citations. But I know it's a lot more serious at the party, the things that happen than.
Yeah, because those kids that they're supposed to detain last night, I think the father got upset with the officer because he said he was mechanic until 3 o'clock, but then, just as a parent, your kids, if they're under 15 or 14, they don't have no business being out there 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and at night, looking to see, when a kid or anybody is there after midnight, they're up to no good, so that's why I told my deputy, say, if that's why they get right now, you need to stop and question why they're doing it at that time of the night, at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're there 14, 15 years.
And Miguel, I know, or Sheriff, I know you're not afraid. That's never been the question of you being afraid or afraid to do their job. It's just sometimes, even though you want to, employees that when you're gone, just, what, I'm not going to do anything. I don't know what's going to happen. So, it just, but they have to realize that if they're getting a check, they need to go ahead and make sure they take care of it.
And I agree with you because, like you said, I got a lady that called me on Saturday. She was upset, and I talked to the sergeant yesterday, and I jumped on the sergeant because Chicola for somebody who was, red racing in the street. They got the license plate of his vehicle. She called 4, and at 7 o'clock, there's still nobody, and I got upset because I always had told him, and like I said, you're right, because some deputy, so the transit is thinking, what am I gonna do? And I told him, I can still terminate it, because like I told everybody, I'm the sheriff, whether they like it or not, till December the 31st at midnight. The other individual can stay at 12:01, that's fine, but as long as I still the sheriff till December, and I think what you say is probably true, where somebody will think, well, what he's gonna do? Well, if he lets me go, the newcomer is gonna improve me, so they think in the mentality, well, I've been unemployed for 6 weeks, and like I told him, I can still let you go. I don't have to keep you, because you still have to do your job, and I know sometimes if they do that, you have to make it look better. I'm not saying 100% that's true, but sometimes I can see that because some of the body language or the attitude on some of the deputies, you can tell it changed a little bit.
And it's not that we want to make money off any of these citations, is that we'd like to see everybody participate, because, some people don't believe it, but I think more and more are believing that it does help protect.
But tell you what, we're gonna enforce it, but you're gonna get those calls, but because I know we had before we said, and they can say they already warned these people several times, so there's no more warning, because they had told them before, hey, you cannot have more than 10, and some people, okay, but then some people start still doing it, because they say, well, they just gonna give a warning, and so the warning is the other question, so we're just gonna start giving citations. You're gonna get the call, so you have to just prepare.
If it doesn't happen, I get the calls anyway, so, it's both ways.
Yeah, because like I said,
I get the calls
they can
anyway.
say, well, because I know when we started, you said, well, it's good, and I always tell people, anything we enforce, if it's something you always give them at least a couple of months, and just say, this is what's done. If you do it after 60 days, we're gonna issue a citation, and so they can say they're not being warned. Plus, I know people watching right now, they can listen that, hey, they should be getting more than 10 people, even if they relatives as well, because you see the numbers are going on nationwide. So it's something that is important to everybody. It's for our own benefit, for our own health. So, like I said, if we're still giving citation, it's going to be because we cannot give warnings anymore. They're known for at least 7, 8 months already. They shouldn't be doing that. And I know Mr. Butterfield, we like him, he's good, and working with him, we can be, I'm not saying he needs to do the job, but we can work together, and that's the only way to understand. Sometimes when you hear the pocket, you heard them from the pocket, that's when they're learning.
And they just announced it today that Texas is about to hit the 1 million mark in cases.
And I've told Mr. Butterfield at this point, we're 8 months into it. You're going to the same locations. The people are still the same people over and over. I think we've reached that education part, that they've been educated enough that they just don't issue the citations.
What was the reason we brought Butterfield in? Because he had a certification that he would be the only one able to give citations?
On the fire side, yes, he is a certified peace officer, an arson investigator, inspector, of course, firefighter, emergency medical technician. And he's been assisting on the public health side with the case investigations. We just did one last week where the person we were unable to contact, and so he went to the home to make contact, because that's the only way we can do that case investigation and contact tracing. Like I say, he's one person, and it's hard to cover 7 days a week, 24 hours a day with one person. And we get a lot of calls from concerned citizens. My phone, my county phone usually starts 7 o'clock in the morning till 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It doesn't matter if it's Mondays or Saturdays with people, which is a good thing. There are a lot of concerned citizens here.
And sometimes he's not on shift, so I get calls. They're not on shift. I've called Constable Maldonado a couple times to address issues, but I guess what we're trying to do, get compliance to the orders. And I know it's hard for families that want to gather. And the governor's changed it from 100 to 10 with GA 29, I believe, 28 or 29. So he brought it down to gatherings, over 10 would need a permit, but we had said inside the city limits, the city, outside. Now, we do have the ability to override that if the city's not doing any ordinances. We're gonna have to have a meeting next week to cover some other items, and we can address it at that time. The only thing I was gonna ask, if this order is to extend it exactly for 30 days until we make it change, which is the same order we did last time. All bars are open, all amusement machines are open. Curfew for children 17 ages or younger, 17 or from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning. Home delivery meals to be extended through 12/10. Food bank will continue. Mass gatherings, just as I mentioned. Masks are required by all citizens and people traveling into LaSalle County in public places. The school is responsible for the teachers and the children and employees. Any business or employee staff member must quarantine until they can disinfect. County will follow a CDC return to work recommendations for all employees. County treasurer will follow CARES Act and determining pay for employees. County courthouse will be open to the public through Thursday. County pool will be open for citizens with medical conditions by appointment. And that's it. I'm asking to extend it. Well, we can decide that. If you want them to have beer, that's fine. If they made that. See, they don't hold a bar permit. They give beer away. And they didn't ask last time. I don't know if they've asked you this time that they want beer, but if they want to go back to the way they were, then it's fine. But we had put no alcohol. If you want to just say the machines are open and, we're not giving permission to sell beer. They're giving complimentary beer. But, any type of license recommendation requirement would come in from a state comptroller or TABC. Because many times they got to have both permits. So if you want it as is, then we make that change now. Said Macanitas to be open as is as before the virus, and provided they follow the CDC spacing requirements. Yes. Yes, sir.
See, you're right, but remember last time they said that they want to sell alcohol. I think we had an incident last week where some lady got arrested. So supposedly they gave her too much alcohol and supposed to come. And that's what happens when they give alcohol. They can, some people, they can know in moderation. It's like when you go to Las Vegas, they feel you get too much alcohol, they won't give it. I don't care you ban the machine. But the same thing here, for some of these people, they want the people to get intoxicated, so they're not going to pay put more money in the deal. And so, supposedly it was bad, that's true. So when I want to mention.
So they're giving beer anyway.
So let me give another example here. Like I said, all of you know, I always answer my call, 99.9% of it. I don't care if I'm home, I don't care if I'm on vacation. I can answer the boss to the judge when I was in Alaska on a cruise. But last night, the municipal judge, he called me, and he was concerned because he had called the National TV, but I guess he can get a hold of it. He said he was trying to call it this better of an answer, but he said they wanted his friends from Laredo because they just can't students and learning just for this. So he called me and said that his friend that has boodles in business, supposedly he got a call that they just called the bulldozer. He was going across the coming to Orange, so finally told Commissioner there, I said he was gonna send an officer, but then I told him to see the GPS, Mr. Cortana told me that, but supposedly the rules were still coming toward about 4 months east from Ensenada, and they were going over, breaking and going over the fence line, so that one simple, like I said, I was sent from my home, I've always been like that, even when I was on my other work before, I retired, but I will, and you can say, I was sent from my home. I'm 25. I'm the one that says 24/7. I'm there, I call, answer the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. I have to give an example because that's the first time Judge Cortez called me because, like I say, he had called Ensenada, I don't know, that somebody available was down or not. He called his pest and then he called me, he said, sorry, he's my friend, he's really panicking, because somebody got a bullet and they're going over those ranches. We had, the man never told me they got it, I told him, sure, that's not, but they told him about 8:30 last night. I don't know what PD, eventually they sent somebody, but I just want to give you that example that I do answer the phone.
Thank you, Chair.
On the order, I could change it back to where all amusement machine, including maquinitas, allowed to open provided they follow guidelines, CDC guidelines, including wearing a mask, 6 feet distance between amusement machines. And we had no alcohol to be consumed or to be provided to customers. Just remove that. I remember that you had mentioned about putting the plexiglass or some type of barrier in between the machines.
This helps a little bit.
Huh?
It'll help.
And the guy had asked, give them a little bit of time and we could make sure they have a little barrier. It might be paper, might be plastic, might be plexiglass, but they have to have a little barrier
Something.
on the maquinitas. If that's what you want. They already put it.
And smoking, no smoking. Beer.
Yeah.
No, they gotta get it. No, you can't walk in with a beer.
No, usually they can take it in. I mean, if they don't have a license to sell beer, so they really don't have any control over that. I mean,
They just give it.
So they let you walk in with it?
If they're giving the beer away, they can't control that because they already have alcohol in that place. That becomes the issue
Yeah.
because they don't have a TABC license. So if you taking a beer into it and said, no, you can't bring in beer, but they're going to give you beer,
It's better for them.
So they
They don't
can
have to
just,
spend.
no, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense whether they allow it or not, unless they don't want it because they're charging and they don't have a license and it's an enforcement issue.
But they can't charge.
But and that's part of the order. We just remove the alcohol and it's their problem to work out.
Yeah.
But the alcohol issue be a TABC issue,
yeah,
and we're out of it.
okay.
Dr. Roth, is there anything you expect us to, other on the order that we need to put in or pay attention to?
No, no, the answer is not right now. I do think though that we need to, we need to communicate a little bit more and a little better, maybe a weekly meeting at least of an hour, just so we can come up with an action plan and come up with some way to address some of these concerns that the court is bringing up today. So maybe afterwards we can get together and come up with a standing time that we can meet and start getting on top of some of these topics more than we have been.
Well, this meeting was kind of catch our bills and everything else and some of the things that we've purchased. And then we're going to have a meeting next week. I don't know if you're going to be available on the 16th. And then on the 16th, we can decide, if we're not going to have a Thanksgiving or Christmas, maybe we can do something for the employees as well.
20 to 16 years? I'm
No,
ready whenever. I'm just checking.
It's a Monday.
Yeah, I'm ready whenever. I'm
Did you
good
look at your
whenever.
schedule?
Whatever day of the week, I'm ready. It's just Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, Monday.
Are you gonna be available? Okay. Huh? We'll do it early in the morning. Okay. So commissioners, if you want, we can just extend the order until the 16th at midnight and then see what we do from there. Or we could do it the 30 days. You know, but we're just taking off the alcohol provision.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do the 30-day, no, Judge?
Yeah, we're just taking the alcohol provision and extending the elderly till 12/10,
Yeah,
and that's all.
that's it.
Well, I know this is hard on everybody, but if that's the case, I'll ask for a motion to extend it until 12/10, remove the alcohol provision on number 2, and extend the home delivery meals to 12/10/2020.
Second. I'll go ahead and second.
Okay, so I made a motion, and then second. There being no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So let's get to the bills. Because Margie, we needed Margie to canvass, right? And she's on her way? Or did you want to, it's 12:15, do you want to break for lunch?
It's 11.
Oh, it's 11, okay, 11:15, was it early, okay. Wow, that's fast.
One,
Huh? No, let's do the bills,
Bills?
yeah.
one day, Judge? One day at the elderly? Malu. ¿Qué dijo Meme? Ando enojado con él, no fue ando enojado con él porque no fue para el filat, he's a board of directors and Rosie. Ahora, pues no vino Jorge.
That's on you guys, that's on, not my cup of tea. Yeah, they're all clear. They're my problem. So anyway,
So let me make the change and I'll get it right now.
okay, so yes, come in. Well, what do you, I'm gonna go back to the office, I forgot to make the one with the police chief down there. Like, he came up positive, so you like, your wife, she's a special police teacher in Emmett County. So she came home, and now the school district, like, so you can't come back to work, without a letter. And I'm like, yep, sure. So, wait, he's like, yeah, he was one of the false positives. But the school district for his wife said, no, you can go work until we have a letter from somebody saying that it's negative.
I bet you the I got the form.
Oh, great. Ahorita regrese.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't done a list. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. Se vendió la shredder. I don't even know que se vendió because I didn't even get to go to the auction porque no, tampoco. Sí, iba a ir y no fue. I'm trying to think, why didn't I go? Oh, I had 2 virtual meetings. To Laredo vas a ir al ag, the ag.
Me voy 2 días antes.
Te salió, ¿no?
Me voy día antes, a primera mañana.
I make the motion to approve the bills as presented, accounts payable and payroll. Oh,
Approve the bills. Yes, sir. Erasmo,
Motion and the second was made to pay the bills.
Erasmo, and Raúl.
Uh, All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Now you're on the minutes. I hadn't seen the minutes. Do you have a copy of the minutes? So this table,
second.
Table the minutes.
motion's been made and second table in minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Reports.
Reports.
Ni uno. ¿Cuál es la fregada?
Margie's what? Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve the reports as presented with the exception of the constables.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Number 7, discussion possible action on elevator contract, and this would be a contract for the annex. But I need to get it to Ms. Martinez to read, so I'd just like to table it until I get it to her to read.
I make the motion to table number 7.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Number 8, discussion possible action on the sale of the trailer used by JP number 2 in Ensenada. Commissioner Alba currently has it at the yard, which is it was one of the FEMA trailers. I don't know if it's the last remaining one, but it's one of the last ones that we previously sold by public bid. We put it in the paper, and then we got bids that came to Margie, and then we read them out.
On-
It's like a silent auction, but what they do is they submit a bid in an envelope, and then Margie keeps them, and we open them all together. It's like a silent auction.
On that trailer, Judge, we'll just put it on the paper for 2 weeks or one.
2 weeks,
We'll put
and
it,
is as is, and FEMA never gave us title, so they told us as long as we give them a bill of sale, it's good.
yeah,
They gotta move it.
they gotta move. We got,
Because if you do that and somebody buys it in Pearsall, you're gonna have to take it to Pearsall.
No le pasa.
I also want to include on that one, just there's a couple of cinder blocks and that went with that trailer that probably need to go.
Okay,
And that trailer, last time I was in it, it had a real good heater. It had a real good AC system. It was real, kept up real clean and everything. So it's in decent condition. But anybody wants
But
to
you don't
come
want to
see
say
it.
that because then they're gonna buy it. They say, well, he said it was
Well,
good.
it's in decent condition. If anybody
It
wants
was.
to, if somebody wants to come see it, they can come see it. But
we just sell it as is.
Yes,
it's
yes,
as
that's
is.
what
But
you-
As is.
it's a good trailer. I mean, it's as is. But it's just so people always have some information. It's in decent condition, but it's as is. So I'll go ahead and make a motion to go ahead and put it up for bids.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. And put it out for bids. All those in favor say aye.
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 Number 9, discussion possible action on belly dump and lease of Mack truck, including approval finance, which we had discussed, Commissioner Ayala, before we did it.
So we just need to make a budget amendment, just.
Yeah, all we need is do the budget amendment, and then, did Mary get a copy of the contract? So we need to get the copy of the contract and put it to the minutes. So it's Fund
Okay.
24. Yeah, we'll cover that. But for now, we're gonna take it from here and put it into capital outlay right there. Yeah, so, are you going to the contract, or did he have a copy of the contract? Because she's gonna need a copy in the minutes.
La troca, a water truck. Luego, bro, na. Ahí, frente a la línea.
So one contract is for Buckner's Truck Sales Company, in the amount of $36,685. And the second contract is First National Bank, DBA First National Bank leasing equipment leased by county. And,
The first payment is until a year from October.
and that contract, well, just, we would approve that contract, and the first payment would not be due till next year, April 29th, 2024,
Yes, sir.
of 17,500. So it's a lease. So it's a lease.
So he's gonna pay 17,000 a year or what?
3.5 years, and then otra.
Just get another one.
Yeah. Yeah, you just get another one that's not a bad price.
Yep.
So it says it's a contract annuity in arrears. Arrears means the payment gets paid toward the end. First payment, 17,500 due October 21st. So there's a payment due April 24th, and then there's another payment due October.
No, that's the last payment. It's gonna be in 6 months, it'll be the $8,000, which is 3.5 payments. Something like that. And then we trade it in and get a new one. Whatever remaining amount is owned, it's like a balloon. It'll put it on the new one.
Okay. Um, First payment is 17,500, but they can take a half payment the first 6 months for the budget purposes. So yes.
Either, yeah.
Yeah, either or. So yeah, it's 17,500 a year. It's not bad.
It's always
Is there a limit on the miles? No?
we don't put many miles. I mean, in 3.5 years, it's 100, what is it, 300,000 miles? No way we're gonna put that many miles. So it's gonna be under warranty all the time.
¿Ya la renta?
Yeah.
Yep, yeah.
So all we have to do is one budget amendment of 36,000,
685.
well, 37,000 from hauling materials to capital outlay.
37 even?
Yeah, leave a little bit extra.
Okay.
And we have some other budget amendments to do. I want to meet with Jorge when he comes in,
Okay.
so we can do the rest of the county.
Okay.
And so out of this motion, we would have in order to ratify the contract for the MAC and the belly dump, and to do a budget amendment from road and bridge materials to capital outlay in the amount
Project.
of 37,000.
¿Quién es eso?
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 10, discussion possible action. Purchase of a John Deere, Commissioner Alba.
Judge, upon, I want to trade in my tractor, and that's what he sent me from John Deere, from Alice. And I think we don't pay any taxes on that. I got a copy for that. I think the total was 61, and I got a trade-in of
30.
I think it's on the back page. I think, yeah, 30 it is?
30,000, 30.
Yeah. So the total is like around 61, and there's a trade-in value on that other tractor of 30,000 trade-in. And I want to go ahead and trade it in and get that new tractor.
Well, you have enough room without a budget amendment to make the purchase. Commissioner?
You didn't much, 31,000?
Huh?
31,000?
Yeah, he has 50,000.
En el capital, Judge.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he has enough room.
Yeah, and he told me they were registered on that,
Buy board.
on the buy board on that competitive pricing deal, Judge.
Yeah, what he's gonna do is we're gonna get a buy board number as
Okay.
part of the purchase order. So the purchase order is usually done to the buy board for the John Deere of this purchase. So that we would authorize you to purchase from John Deere, utilizing buy board pricing for and authorizing the trade in the amount of $30,000 for the equipment from TELUS Equipment Solutions.
Yes, sir.
And that would be in a form of a motion.
I'll go with the trader.
I'll second.
The motion's been made
Second.
and second.
Who made it? Who made it?
Judge.
Any further discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed, same sign. So, number 11, discussion possible action opening bids for generators and or possible action to award bids. Do you have them? Or you want to wait till Margie until she gets here? Okay, let's wait for that for number 11, number 12. Number 15 is hers also. How about right-of-way agreements? Do you have any?
So we're gonna table number,
Oh,
No,
no, I'll just
no,
come,
we're just
I'll just come
waiting.
back to it. I'll just come
After
back to
lunch.
it. I'll just come back to it after lunch.
After lunch.
oh, okay.
15 is hers too.
Yes.
Driveway permit.
How many are there? Is that all? Because I know there was one from Valley Telephone too,
See,
but the thing with Valley Telephone, what they did with Camarón Road, we asked them to get a survey. And they didn't do a survey. They laid it just right in the middle of the county road. So then we had problems when we had to pave it.
yeah.
And it cost us money, so they never did it. So what Valley Telephone needs to do, they gotta run a survey and show us where we're gonna run inside the road.
We met, me and the road, at Harding,
Yeah,
the supervisor, the, Bobby,
yeah.
and, the engineer, Hector, and me, and, with, McKelvey. They were gonna do it 4 feet away from the fence. Before they got to that cement, where they had already done the mixture with the cement, ¿cómo se llama?
Cement stabilization.
Stabilization, yeah. So, if you wanna,
Because the permits that we have, the right-of-way permits are related to oil.
uh-huh,
And what we've always asked them is shoot a survey where you're gonna do it and we approve it. Just shoot a survey
Yeah.
where they're gonna do it. That way they don't put it on the middle of the road.
yeah, no, they didn't.
Did they put it in
I
already?
don't know, they weren't gonna do it.
Huh?
They weren't gonna do it in the middle, they were gonna do it on the side. 4 feet from the fence, the Jardín Drive.
But see, that's what they told me on Camarón. And this is when, Mr. Gunstream was there. And they put it in the middle of the road because of the brush. They didn't want to cut the brush, so they put it right on the road. So then we had to pay engineering fees and extra fees so they could have access to it during the paving.
Is it clean
And
along
it's
the
6
road?
feet, it's 6 feet, I mean,
It's pretty
they're
clean.
paving it, you know, so it's clean. They just didn't want them to get on that hard surface, so they were gonna do it on the side.
Well,
How far was that line gonna be rolled?
Quarter mile
Oh, not that far.
on the construction site, and then another half a mile to the Plochek's farm. Maybe about a mile length. That's what they were talking about.
I would say yes, just tell them to run the survey because they just had a little map.
Yeah.
They had just a little map.
And they were gonna bore under every pipeline crossing.
Yeah, I would have them do the agreement and then,
I'll get with Weaver Construction. and Hector, SMB.
Okay. Survey. And over here on South Construction, they're doing that water line for the city.
Hmm? What's this do?
Well, this is yours, this is EOG.
Pardon?
Yeah,
Status?
the EOG, they're crossing. These are doing two, here's EOG as well. We had the right-of-way permits.
There's one, I got one here. Peña Road.
They're connecting, right? Right-of-way permit,
They're crossing there.
there's only one?
They're crossing the road nomás, no?
Yeah. So they cross, no, this is connect. So they're gonna connect to you right here, right away. So they're gonna have to either put a culvert, so we need to get, wanted to make sure that it doesn't interrupt the water. Something, is this road, is it dirt?
Yeah, road.
Huh? Yeah, it's a biggie. There's no problem, no, you don't need the engineer. So they're gonna put a crossing.
Yeah, but they're gonna probably just, bore, no?
Yeah. No, they're not gonna cross. See, on this one, if you, here's the road, and this is, where they're gonna connect to
Right-of-way.
the road. So the only thing that you have to look is to make sure either it's a culvert or that they're not gonna interrupt your drainage there.
Okay.
But these driveway permits that we did it really for the people that have asphalt, for the roads that we have asphalt. So that way they have to connect with asphalt or with concrete. So the reality, because we haven't done that, we haven't paved this, then it's up to you whether you want to charge them $1,000 or not.
When you see where it's at,
Yeah. You would need to see.
yeah. I'll just
But-
get back to Margie. I'll go look at it and then I'll come back.
Binger Road.
I gotta go see where it's at. Where's it gonna be? at,
Because
and
why,
then- and then-
why force them to use concrete or blacktop if it's just a dirt road and we don't have it there for them?
Yeah, I got about a mile, 2 miles that I got blacked up on it already. So I just need to know.
Oh, you got blacktop already?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it might be past that, it might be on this side, so I just waited.
You go look at it.
Yeah.
Was there anything else? Jack didn't get anything? You didn't get anything? So we have one for South Construction, and the concern I have with South Construction, they've cut so close to the fence already. Have you noticed on the loop that they've
Oh.
cut so close to, that fence is gonna, it's
Yeah.
not gonna hold
A
it
good
enough.
rain.
It's gonna fall. So So I wouldn't approve the south construction yet until we talk to them on how they're gonna fix that fence.
Okay.
And then we approve the two EEOG or EOG permits, and then we approve the Valley Telephone on the condition they give us a survey.
Se la apunté de fuera.
And then, we're gonna table the last one, the connection to Peña Road until Commissioner Neves finds out where it's at. And that would be in the form of a motion.
The second, Ramirez.
Yes. Motion has been made and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So now I'm gonna ask the table till 1:30 and let Margie come here so we can canvass, and I think, we'll table till 1:30 anyway and cover the rest of the things.
Okay.
Second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.